Hello, I'm Phil Svitek, 360 Creative Coach, and in this episode, I want to talk about how to give a simple no. Too oftentimes, we overcomplicate about how we say no. And I think too often we say yes when we really want to say no, and then that benefits ultimately no one, because if it's like a party that we don't want to be at, if it's something that we don't want to do, whatever the case may be, it doesn't deliver the result that the person that asked us wants, and it certainly doesn't help you. And I think, we're too nervous about we're too nervous about hurting someone else's feelings, number one, and so we say yes when we mean no. And also, if we do kind of have the ability to say no, we try to over-explain because we feel that will hurt the person less. When instead, we can just exercise a simple no. So I heard this on the Tim Ferriss show. He had Elizabeth Gilbert as a guest, who is the author of Eat, Pray, Love, and so forth. And one of the things that she was talking about was that she went to a Byron Katie workshop. And I've talked about Byron Katie before, but this was something that I actually had not heard before, was that Byron Katie teaches the simple no. And literally, it's so simple. Thank you and no. In that way, because we tend to say thank you but no, right? So she says thank you and no. It fundamentally shifts the tone of which you're kind of saying it, and you don't need to give anything else. Thank you and no. Someone invites you to a birthday party. Thank you and no. Especially in this time of a quarantine, it's like a lot of people have this expectation. Well, you're home, so you got nothing better to do. So what reasoning might you have to decline an invitation for a Zoom call or something or other, right? And it's like, well, your self-care might be the thing, but even whatever it is, you don't owe anyone an explanation. And if you allow yourself to kind of give an explanation, then it just invites them to kind of essentially negotiate with you. And when you really don't want that, right? So the simple thank you and no, that's all you need to say. Now, they might be upset that hey, how could you? It's very selfish. You can say I understand that, but it's still a no. Or actually switch that. I understand that, and it's still a no. So at least you're acknowledging them, but it's in a way this is one of the simplest ways to put up boundaries, because our time and kind of what we say yes to is a management of our time, is a form of putting up boundaries. And too often, certainly I can speak for myself, we say yes to things because we feel obligated, like we owe something to somebody or whatever else. And when that's not always the case, and we try to figure out how to get out of it, we feel like we need this grand explanation when we don't. It's all about the simple no. Thank you and no. And once you start, you can start to kind of adopt this. There's Kim Scott has a book called Radical Candor, and this is like the true form of radical candor. You can still have compassion and empathy for somebody, but say no and be truthful, right? That's what radical candor is, as opposed to the opposite, which I think most of us employ, is ruinous empathy, where we don't want to hurt the other person's feelings, and so we say yes, but it's at the cost of ultimately them, because we don't want to be there or do something, and conversely at the cost of ourselves, because we ultimately don't want to be there or be doing that thing. And so just if you literally just exercise a simple thank you and no, I can't imagine it's such a life-altering thing. Now, at first, it's going to be a difficult thing, especially ironically, the closer you are to people, meaning let's say a family member or a best friend, and they invite you to something and you say thank you and no, they're going to be WTF, you don't care about me? What's going on? Why? And so it's easier in some sense to say no to people that we're not as close with versus the people that we are close with. But ultimately, it doesn't benefit you or the other person when you don't actually feel it in your heart of hearts to do something or be somewhere. So, in the long run, it's a lot better to be honest versus not. And that's what I have for you today. Anyway, let me know your thoughts and opinions on this. Maybe you have some questions. By all means, comment down below or hit me up on social media at Svitek. And feel free to share this with somebody who you think might benefit from this. And if you enjoy this lesson, then you might enjoy some of my other lessons. If you're not already subscribed, well, then I encourage you to do so. That way you get all the various lessons that I put out right when I put them out. Thank you, and I hope to see you next time.